Hello, good afternoon everyone. It's me Om Prakash. So I'm studying civil engineering from Basaveshwar Engineering College. Currently I'm pursuing my 6th semester. So if you are new to this channel Civil Om, please do subscribe to this channel and also press the bell icon to never miss any updates. Thank you. So please watch this video. That is a sounding test. In sounding test we have three different types of tests. That is, one is standard penetration test, and again next is cone penetration test. In cone penetration test we have two more, that is dynamic cone penetration test and static cone penetration test. So these are the three different tests which we are going to learn here. To start with, let's study about the standard penetration test. What happens here is there is a very sharp edge which is present at the bottom, then that is going to penetrate inside the soil, and this is our this is our bore whatever we have dug. This is 1.5 meter digging and this is 3 meter and this is 4.5. So with the increment of 1.5, 1.5, 1.5 it is dug, and this is the total distance is 4.5 meter. So this is what is the borehole that we have dug, and this is the drill rod that we have. This is a split spoon sample which we have. It is dug inside the borehole. What happens is there is a penetration of 300 mm. What is N here? SPT value can also be called as SPT N value. So what is N here? N is the number of blows required to drive the sample 300 mm beyond the drive. 300 mm beyond the drive, whatever the penetration is taking place, that is called as SPT N. N is the number of blows. 150 mm penetration is taking place. 150 mm penetration is taking place with increment, and 300 mm penetration is taking place downside the dug borehole. Now 350 is the number of blows required to penetrate the sampler up to 300 mm that we have seen here. N dash is equal to C into N. N dash is the corrected N value, C is the constant. So that constant can be determined by the formula 0.77 log to the base 10 into 20 divided by P. P is the overburden pressure. And N is the initial number of blows that is required to penetrate up to 300 mm. Hope you have understood this. So this is what is about SPTN, that is standard penetration test of N number of blows. Coming to the cone penetration test. In cone penetration test we have two different tests. One is dynamic cone penetration test, one is static cone penetration test. So we have a cone like structure which is present in the borehole, and initially there is a difference of 750 mm in the upper side, and the diameter of the particular cone is 50 mm. What happens here is same thing, with the pressure which is applied from the top end, with a difference of 750 mm it is given blows are given. So N number of blows are given, say for example. So with this particular angle the cone penetration is going to take place downside the borehole. So this is what is the dynamic cone penetration test. Here we have 750 mm difference is there in the upper end. So the same way the penetration is taking place. So what are the different advantages of this DCPT, that is dynamic cone penetration test? It is one of the very quickest test and it is less expensive. The major disadvantage of this dynamic cone penetration test is the soil sample cannot be collected and the cone cannot be withdrawn. So these are the major disadvantages of the dynamic cone penetration test. Hope you have understood this. Now coming to the standard, that is static cone penetration test. What is the static cone penetration test? Initially there is a presence of a pushing rod which is at the top end, and with a certain amount of distance it is being blown. And this is the ground level and this is the rod which is being driven, and the cone is about at the tip end, and the angle made by the cone is 60 degree. At this end the cone penetration tip, the resistance is being measured. It is also having the flexible porous element which is present at the top, through which the penetration can be made easier. It is connected to the computer data, and the depth at which the penetration is being done can be calculated, and the cone resistance is calculated by using the formula Qs upon As, where Qs is nothing but the force at the pressure gauge, As is nothing but the base area, is equal to Qf upon Af is the formula for calculating the force required to push the friction jacket. Okay, QF is nothing but the pressure at the friction jacket. AF is nothing but the surface area of the friction jacket. So this is how the force required to push the friction jacket is being calculated, as well as the cone resistance can be calculated by using the static cone penetration test. Hope I think you have understood this. They have given a seismic refraction study of an area which has the following data, that is distance of impact of geophones, which is there in terms of meters, and the time to receive the waves, it is in terms of seconds. Okay, so the distance of geophones that is given in terms of increments, that is 15, 30, 60, 90 and 120, and the time to receive the waves is given by in terms of seconds, so it is 0.025, 0.05, 0.1, 0.11 and 0.12. So if there are 5 distances given, then it is pretty understood that there are 6 geophones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So what are the distances they have given? Let us mention that. So this is first, second, third, 4, 5 and 6 the geophones. So distance from first and second is how much? 15. Okay. Let us draw its implications in the vertical downward direction. Okay, fine. So this is 15 meter and this is 30 meter and this is how much? 60 meter, and next is 90 meter, and the last one is how much? 120 meter. So this is how the geophones are located. So in order to find out the velocity in the first layer, we have the formula V1 is equal to x2 minus x1 divided by y2 minus y1. That is distance upon time. Distance is this one and the time is this one. So if this is x2, let us consider this as x1. We can take any random value, okay? So in the first layer, 2 alternatives, let us take it. That is 60 minus 15 upon 0.1 minus 0.025. The value is 600 meter per second. Okay. Now let us calculate the velocity in the second layer. Now we will consider this one as x3 and this one as x4. So what is x3 here? 120. Okay, let us write it. 120 minus this x4 is 60 upon. So what is y3 here? 0.12 minus 0.1. 3000 meter per second. After calculating this, we have one formula, that is depth is equal to d by 2 into v2 minus v1 divided by v2 plus v1. So what is the mid distance here? 60. 60 by 2 under root of, what is v2 here? That is velocity in the second layer, 3000. 3000 minus v1 is how much here? 600 divided by v2 is how much? 3000 plus 600, 24.5 meter. First layer is sandy clay and second layer is granite. So you have a table in your textbook, just go through that. So friends, they have asked to calculate the area ratios of the different samplers and they have asked to comment on the nature of the sample. So outer dia and inner dia are given. For the core cutter, outer dia is 165, inner is 150. For split spoon, outer is 51, inner is 35. For Shelby tube, outer is 51 and inner is 48. So they've asked us to calculate the area ratio. So for the area ratio for the core cutter is given by outer dia square minus inner dia square divided by inner dia square. Okay, what is outer dia here? 165. 165 square minus 150 square upon 150 square. 0.21, which is 21%. Now, area ratio of split spoon sampler is how much? Outer dia is how much? 51 square minus 35 square upon 35 square. 112.32. The Shelby tube, area ratio of the Shelby tube sampler is how much? 51 square minus 48 square upon 48 square is given by 12.8%. Note that this is moderately disturbed, this is highly disturbed, and this is reasonably disturbed. Because since this is moderately disturbed because it is somewhat nearer to 50%. This is highly disturbed because it is 112.32, which is more than 100%. That is why it is highly disturbed. And for the Shelby tube, it is 12.8%. 12.8% is somewhere nearer to 0, but it has disturbed. So that is why it is reasonably disturbed. So this is how you have to calculate the area ratio and give the conclusions. So friends, let's solve the next problem. They have given the inner diameter of the Shelby tube and the core cutter as 70 and 68 mm, and the outer diameter of the Shelby tube and core cutter as 72 and 74 mm. They have asked us to calculate the inside clearance, outside clearance and area ratio. So let us write down the different values for this. So for Shelby tube, core cutter, outer dia, inner dia. Okay, let us write it down. Okay. So this is D1, D2, D3, D4. Okay. So what is D1 here? 68 meter. What is D3 here? 70 meter. 70 mm. And D1 is 68 mm. What is D2 here? 74 mm. And what is D4 here? 72 mm. So after knowing all the values, input here. So for calculating the area ratio, D2 is how much? 74. 74 square minus D1 is how much? 68 square upon 68 square into 100 is how much? 18.43%. Since we have already got the area ratio as 18.43%, now let us calculate the inside clearance, which is D3 minus D1 upon D1 into 100, that is 70 minus 68 divided by 68 into 100, which gives 2.94%. Now let us calculate the outside clearance, which is given by the formula D2 minus D1 divided by D1 into 100, which can be given as 74 minus 72 divided by 72 into 100, which is 2.78%. Since here we know the condition that inside clearance should not be greater than 1 to 3%, hence this is what the conclusion we can derive. After taking into consideration of inside clearance and outside clearance, we come to conclusion that outside clearance is lesser than inside clearance. Hence this is the problem and it is solved. Hope you have understood this. Thank you so much for watching this video. So please do like, comment, share and subscribe.